This is Dave Learns AI, a Taptico Solutions podcast. I'm Dave Clapper, diving into the real-world ways AI is changing business, creativity, and how we work. No fluff, no jargon, just practical insights and experiments you can learn from right alongside me. Oh, Dave Learns AI. And here we are, back at it once again. You know, it's so interesting. It's so interesting how I can start a day with you guys and then end up when we do our podcast and be in completely three different
Locales.
locations. Like, wait a minute, weren't we just together a couple of hours ago?
Yeah. And now here we are, all separate, put together again. I got a new ring light. But check this out.
Oh, you do?
Wow.
It's nice. I got one too.
My OnlyFans. Oh, nice, Dave. Nice.
I am broadcasting live right now from the Switch Yards downtown Atlanta. What about you, Nick? Where are you located?
I'm broadcasting live from Old Fourth Ward.
And Tribble?
And I'm coming at you live from the Sandy Springs Buckhead line.
Here we are. So the last couple of weeks, we've had some guests. We've been fortunate enough to have some guests on Dave Learns AI, and last week was a lot of fun. A week before was too. It's always good to get perspective on other people that are trying to utilize some of the tools that we use in our daily now, and just the constant evolution of what is happening. It is, Nick and I all three of us were actually sitting in a meeting, and I showed Nick something that I was working on for a prospective client. And we started talking to this client about 9 months ago. And the client's a little tough to pin down, but he definitely is in need of some of the things that we can offer. And, you know, I was just thinking back 9 months ago when we were first having the conversation going, yeah, man, we can do some AI stuff for you. And he's like, well, I don't really know what that means. And in all honesty, I didn't either.
Like, oh, we'll figure it out.
I don't know. We're gonna do some AI stuff. We're gonna make life different for you. And here I am showing Nick what I had done through some of the tools that I use that not only utilize the tools that I've been mastering, but then bringing in some of the tools that Nick's been mastering and then combining them together into a presentation that now a prospective client can look at it and go, oh my God. Like it has, you know, we're talking about this revolution of AI and, you know, how digital, like the web, it slowly got there, you know. It was like, I remember my first www visit and then to where it became a daily thing. I feel like, and maybe it's just because we're the front lines, but this has gone from 0 to 100 like that.
0 to 300. So OpenClaw is one of our most downloaded episodes. And how do I know? That's because we built an agent called Producer Paul that is now our podcasting. He's an AI podcast producer for us. So he's going through and auditing all of our most recent episodes, actually all of our episodes, to see which ones drive the most volume and which ones are the most interesting for people. And OpenClaw is one of them. And OpenClaw, I have been neck deep in since it came out. And I told these fellows yesterday, it had updated 7 times in 10 days. That means that, think about iOS, right? It's literally an operating system just like iOS. This updates once a year. OpenClaw released another update last night. 8 times in 12 days. 8
Jesus
updates
Louise.
in 12 days. And each update is significantly better. I've got ours trained because when you update, if you don't build it right, it breaks. So I've got ours trained to only update if the update provides a 10% bump in productivity. And all of them have.
Every single one.
Every one of them. So it's insane. And that is how fast. So Claude Code, all of these AI, they're all learning from each other. They are all learning from themselves. AI has now got to a point where it self improves. So I've asked the Slingshot Squad is what our agents are called. They're an army of AI agents, and they each are tasked with getting better every day, which is insane. So it's
Yeah,
like
I like to
awareness.
I like to think of things in paradigm shifts, and you're talking about how far we've come in 9 months since you talked to that prospective client. The most recent paradigm shift is the agents. OpenClaw, Manus has agents, where it went from ChatGPT and all these LLMs used to tell you what to do, and they sounded really smart, and you could go do those things and be successful. This agentic paradigm shift has been, now it does it for you, and it suggests things to do, and then it does those, and then they get better on themselves. So Dave, you were talking about how you were doing 9 things at once. You couldn't do that unless you had them working. You set it and forget it almost, right?
Yeah. Yeah, or check back on it and go, okay, where are we at with this? And then that's the thing. Like, I'll be doing one thing, and then I'll go and get distracted with another thing, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'll go back and I'll go, oh, okay, cool, that was done, awesome, thank you. Now I can take that and go and do this thing now. So I don't think go ahead.
And because of that, we've also developed a task management platform completely built using Claude Code. So basically ripped off Asana with Claude Code. So we've got a task management platform for our AI agents because we have them doing so many different things. We're just humans. We can't be this attractive and smart people. So we have it all logged in to where the tasks are actually on a Kanban board that our AI agents are working on. So if there's a human blocker, which API, like I have to give API access to some of our agents, they're waiting on me to give them the API keys for that stuff. So it's on my to-do list. So they're like, Nick, what's up? And I get pinged. We have a Telegram set up where I get direct message from them. I get daily updates. My morning, I have cron jobs, which cron is short for chronological or chronograph, but it's basically time-based jobs. So it's daily or weekly or monthly or however you set it, tasks, multiple per day. And I wake up in the morning and I go through my rundown of all the stuff they're working on, what they need from me that day. What kind of, we had a couple of meetings today, 3 really big meetings, and they prepared all of the dossiers for us. It's insane what's happening.
I wanted to pull this up real quick because this is one of the things that I was showing you. We were talking about Agentic and these agents that are being created that Nick is really working within the system of OpenClaw and creating, professionals for all the different jobs that we need. So one of our clients is a retail location. They've got 24 retail locations around the Southeast, an outdoor brand. And what we did is we put together a team that is specific to their business. If you are watching this on YouTube as opposed to listening it, you may want to go over to the YouTube and kind of get a look at this, but you can see each one of these agents does something different. So you got a merchandise strategist, a local store marketing person for for each one of the stores, tourist acquisition specialist, influencer and ambassador programs, reputation and reviews, digital advertising, campaign calendar. Each one of these agents does a separate job. And that's just where things have gone like next level for me. Okay, I can bring in a client and go, all right, listen, I'm not your SEO guy, but I have one. I'm not your content creator, but I have one, that kind of stuff that has just, gone next level. And, we were talking off camera a little bit about what a lot of this means for software in general. If you think about, being in business, I was talking to a friend yesterday and I was in radio with him and we had software that we paid for, a scheduling program, something like that. And that software was only as good as it was. I mean, you couldn't really change it once you got it. You paid for it and you're like, well, I use some of the tools in this. But now you can create software based specifically on what your needs are without having to go out.
They probably can't.
We can.
We can. They probably, it's hard. it's not easy to figure out. I've spent 3 weeks, in the mud with it, trying to figure it out. But it is getting to the point, HubSpot is hard. Salesforce is hard. You basically have to get an engineering degree to learn how to use them. And then even when you do, there's so many different features that you don't use. So you're spending all this money for 3 or 4 features that you actually use. What is going to happen, in my prediction for the future, is every small business and every medium and large business probably are going to have their own custom built by themselves or by someone they hire like us to do it, their own custom software that bridges the gap for everything. And it's one hub where all of their tools live. It tracks their performance, their KPIs, all the stuff that they care about. Amazing for real estate agents, people that work independently and need a team keeping an eye on this stuff. This is where we call ours the slingshots, because they are the weapons that the Davids used to bring down the Goliaths. And we didn't even come up with that name. They came up with the name themselves, because our why, the Taptico why, is to help small businesses compete at the same level as those large companies. So they heard our why and they said, "Oh, we're the slingshots. We're what David used to take down Goliath." I'm like, "That's really cool, awesome."
Yeah. And Nick, can you speak to how they, like, each agent has a specific role and what it's an expert at? Can you speak to why they need to exist as separate entities as opposed to just going to one agent and having it do all these things? Like, what's the separation of each
I'll ask a
personality
very
for?
easy question for anyone. Would you go to an eye doctor to get surgery on your foot?
No,
It's the
you would
same
not.
same deal, right? Would you go to a foot doctor to get brain surgery, or a heart doctor to get brain? No. So they are all very, very well versed in their respective lanes. Now, one way that helps is because it gives you multiple perspectives, because they all have their own thoughts. They're all trained on different things. So as opposed to having one set of eyeballs on it, electronic eyeballs, you've got a bunch. So the way that we have ours built, we have a Discord server that's internal use only, that we go in. It's called War Room, and we'll say, "Hey, we need something so and so. We need a dossier for this guy. We're meeting a new prospect, or we need a proposal based on these meeting notes." And it we have one named Bo. You guys have met Bo, but he's the orchestrator, and he's literally the chief agent officer for Taptica. And he goes and he calls on the bots or the agents that, they're not bots at all. They're agents that,
Mhm.
that are specialized to do the things that we would need executed on that stuff. So again, it's like Ocean's 11, right? You have the guy that's good at the bomb stuff. You have the guy that's good at the planning. You have the negotiation guy, all that stuff. That's why. So it's just a
Yeah.
clear differentiator in path.
And the other thing is they can work independently. Like, you can assign 44
Simultaneous,
different, yeah,
right?
simultaneously. You can assign 44 different tasks and have them all working instead of it both thinking through each specific task by himself.
Correct. And this is also a good way to, so API calls cost money. So anytime that your agent has to go to a third party vendor or software like an Asana or MailChimp or a Claude, it costs money. So you can set the the less strategic ones that don't need deep reasoning or deep thinking. You can set those, if you're using Claude, to use Sonnet 4.6 or Haiku, right? So it's a lot less expensive, but we'll use Bo with Opus 4.6 because Opus is the deep thinking model. So all that stuff plays together, and those models change drastically all the time. So we also have a way where, and this is one of the new updates that OpenClaw just put out, that it basically it directs the model. So it will tell you which model would be the best suited for this specific task for this specific agent. So if we have them doing some deep strategy stuff, they'll use Opus 4.6, which is the most expensive. Or if it's just like replying to us messing around on Discord, it's pulling from Haiku, which is literally like, that's a difference between spending $100 a day in API calls, and that's happened. We do that. We have done that, to $9 in a day on API calls. So,
You know, it was interesting. You were actually doing some work on the back end to find out what it has cost or what the cost would have been to put the portal together that we did for one of our clients. And average cost, I think, for what we've created is anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 worth of work that we've done in 6 weeks for this client. So it's amazing what we can do. There are a couple things I want to cover. I want to get to the Chat GPT or the OpenAI versus Claude and the Pentagon, just because, that's something interesting I want to learn more about. But Tribble, you had a big week this week. You presented to a client. I'm curious to know a little bit about your experience of not only setting up and being prepared for that meeting, but also the tools that you used pre-meeting and now post-meeting, and how it's kind of affected your workflow, and what you've noticed and enjoyed about the process or are frustrated with.
Yes. What do they say is the mother of invention? Necessity is the mother of invention. Well, in a short enough time period, we knew we had a meeting, 2 days in advance. I'm mostly in the I'm mostly in the LLM world. You guys are operating more on that agentic side a lot more than I am. But having to really put together something that was formal and a presentation that we're proud of, and obviously the level that we operate on, I had to kind of get in the mud with you guys. And so what I noticed with working with Bo through Discord and that side of things is it's just a level. It's kind of like what ChatGPT is to Google search. The agent is to what ChatGPT is. It's just that extra level of research, the extra level of thought. Um, you're just a little bit more wowed. And so me as the human in the loop, kind of putting everything together, there's less iterations needed, and they're more advanced. It really knows more about what I'm looking for. And this goes back to prompting, and I've been talking to AI tools now for 10 months or even longer than that. But so it's still important that you know how to prompt and how to talk to them. But at the same time, both before the meeting, setting up the proposal, and then after, giving it the meeting notes and asking it to refine everything so that we can actually get a signed contract. I was just, through using the agents, mind blown. Paradigm shifted for me.
yeah.
One of the things that the prospective client was talking about was a tool that they use for lead gen, and it's a specific tool. They pay for leads, and there's a company that does it, and I guess does it well. And what's interesting is almost immediately following that meeting, we went into some of our tools and said, hey, could we recreate this in a way that could give the same kind of success that they're having utilizing the service without having to pay that service, because we can build that from scratch based on, one, looking at what that company does, and then two, just emulating it or recreating it in a way that now this client, prospective client, can have access to that without paying that company all that money. So that's huge.
That's why Nick says short all SaaS, software as a service companies, because it's so easy to literally cater the perfect piece of software that's easy to understand, easy to make, easy to understand, easy to fix, and that's really customized to exactly what their needs are. And you can slap a white label on it and call it yours. And I think that
It's built. It's a custom home, so you're building a custom workflow or a custom tool that you're going to use based on how you're going to use it and what you need. So, like, one of our clients, we had this whole, I call it the super app for them, this whole dashboard, and we had a working session with them today. They're super busy. They're all over the place. So our meetings with them are get in here and try it out and let us know what you need, what's missing, all that stuff, because we don't have the context or the expertise on their industry. And we did that. And I just sent an update. That was this morning. I just sent a complete overhaul of their tool based on all the feedback. We record our call, we feed that into our AI, it pulls out the request, then I work on building it, fine-tuning it, going back and forth, making sure everything's good. And obviously we have skills in building tools and marketing and brands and all that stuff of our own. So we know what to ask, and we could create it very quickly. But it does not mean it's low quality. It's insane how, I mean, we did, I don't know, I saw the recap, it was like 139 little updates.
Wow.
Yeah, based on, and in one day, and it's just crazy. It's stuff like, tagging the project owner in this, or being able to filter out through the project owner, or being able to see the overall portfolio of other projects and what is ahead, what's behind, what's on time, budgets, timelines, phases, all these different things. And it's really crazy. But I
Are so
strong that every company's gonna have their own custom built software in the next 18 months tops.
So our podcast is Dave Learns AI, but I'd like to ask each one of you guys something specifically you learned this past week with it when it comes to tools or abilities, or something that you're like, wow, like Tribble, you got a wow moment from this past week?
Yeah, I think I just talked about it. Really, kind of I mean, I had some conversations with our main agent, Bo, but I hadn't really needed him and seen what he was capable of, and that's what pre-meeting and post-meeting of a big client proposal meeting. Seeing his capabilities was kind of my wow moment, and then some of the things that you guys have been working on inside the portal and the software and the mission control. Nick, I've been seeing ads of dudes talking about what you did a week and a half ago. So like putting all these things together, how they all come together. But I guess short answer to your question, Dave, is agentic AI is the 10x from regular LLMs, and I think people will continue to see that.
Yeah,
What
I'll
about you,
say
Nick?
mine, just the speed of improvement. The fact that OpenClaw is updated 8 times in the last 2 weeks. The fact that I get a lot of I watch YouTube all the time, right? So I try to see what other people are working on, and it actually was flattering, because what Tribble just mentioned is these, tech influencers on YouTube are doing stuff now that I did 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, hey, okay,
On
all
the
right,
right track.
okay, look at me, yeah, okay, right, hey. But besides that, and it's weird, my neighbors are like, shut up, because I do that all the but I would say, like, I will literally look when the video was posted. If it was in February, it's obsolete.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm not exaggerating. If it was, especially if it's an OpenClaw video, if it's from 5 versions ago, it no longer is applicable. And I don't know how people are going to keep up with it, that have real jobs, that have their own jobs they're working on. If only someone would start a company that learned AI so they didn't have, But I think
we know those guys.
yeah. So that,
Taptical.com.
like, the 2 things that I think are going to be major, vast improvements are, one is the custom software builds, and it can live locally. And I think that's something that we're going to be doing a lot of, because, like, you're having your own dashboard, right? Everyone always wants that. It does not matter what industry you're in. You want your own company dashboard for task management, having everything in one spot, documentation, um, just everything, comms, scheduling meetings. You can literally search all of your meetings to wait. When did the client say that he would pay the extra $5,000? Oh, it was in this meeting, and then you could pull up the audio clip of them saying it. If they say, I never said that, you can literally send them the audio. That is where we're at. But aside from that, the slingshots that we're working with, and this is hot out of the oven, still hot technology. So it does break. And a lot of my time is working on fine tuning things. It does forget things. For instance, completely missed the name of one of our clients this morning as I'm working. I was like, where did you even come up with that name? So it still needs to have human. It's not perfect, but if you have someone who's paying attention to it and updating it on a daily basis, it's freaking unbelievable. And since episode 1, it's just going to get better. And I feel like we are at the hockey stick where the better is 10x better every month, or even 100x better every month.
Let's I want to talk about the news. I typically put my head in the sand when it comes to a lot of current events and news stuff. I'm busy. I'm busy working. I've got kids. I got kids in college. I got little kids. It's just I don't have time to pay attention to the stuff that oftentimes just brings me down. But because I'm in this world now, I've obviously seen a lot that's been in the headlines in regards to Claude being or Anthropic being thrown out of the White House and Donald Trump going, all right, we're not going to, you're pretty much forbidden. And then ChatGPT or OpenAI going, well, we'll come in. And now there's this whole movement of quit GPT. Like there are a bunch of, anti-Trumpers, I guess, or whatever, who are like, okay, we're not going to use ChatGPT anymore. Nick, you're more connected, and Tribble probably you're more connected with me as well. But in teaching me a little bit, like what's happening?
So Anthropic, they are they're positioning themselves as the safe bet. So OpenAI was supposed to have been open source. That's why it's called OpenAI. Elon, he co-founded it with Sam Altman and some others, right? Elon left because they wanted to turn into for profit. Anything open source is not for profit. It's for the betterment of
The greater
human,
good.
right? Right. So as soon as Sam Altman switched his tune to we want to be open source to no, we want to be closed API, it should be called closed API now, because now they're going after these the money, right? They're trying to make a lot of money on it. It's totally fine. We're capitalists as well. But Anthropic, their whole thing is safety. They recently had one of their high ranking like security people quit because they were like, we're witnessing the end of the world. He's that worried about it. I'm not risk averse whatsoever, but Anthropic, the CEO, they're all about, and I understand, they're like, we don't want our AI to be in control of autonomous drones that kill people. We just don't want our technology to be doing that, which is, I completely understand. I would get that as well. But OpenAI was like, we'll do it, because they're chasing the dollar. They're about to IPO, all that stuff. They just actually
700 billion evaluation, 700 billion.
Yeah, so they're not going anywhere. Anthropic will be okay too. The coders are mad at Anthropic because Anthropic doesn't allow you to use OAuth. And OAuth is the cheapest way for you to build these tools that use the API, or not the API, but the models, right? The LLMs. So ChatGPT allows you to use OAuth for OpenClaw, which means that you don't have to worry about tokens as much. Every API call costs money outside of what you spend on your paid account. So we have Claude Max, we still have to pay for the API calls. And that's the stuff that racks up. In order to skip the API calls, you can use OAuth, which is basically just giving it carte blanche. OpenAI says you guys can use our OAuth. So coders like that, because it's a lot cheaper for people that are building things right now. Anthropic wants to make that money. So they are putting up the wall where it's not allowing coders to do that. So it depends on who you ask. I say, hey, they'll figure it out. They're all going to find their lane. Right now, it's the Wild West. Is it if we go in and we say, hey, Claude Code, we want to rebuild N8N, but have a custom version of it for ourselves? Is that copyright infringement? Is that something that we could be sued for because we don't have a patent on their software? I don't know. And I don't think anyone knows yet.
Yeah, and I think it's just I'll just say it's a sign of the times. Like when you have the most powerful person in the world denouncing something, it's time to choose a side, or you have to choose whether you want to support. Because if you give access, or if you give the people in power what they want, where does it end? Like, Apple always talks about their privacy, but at some point they let FBI start getting into their unlocking phones for their kind of purposes as well. So it's kind of like, you either stay kind of the bastion of freedom and of safety, or you eventually kind of cave. And it looks like that Anthropic's trying to carry that banner.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting. We'll see how it all kind of shakes out. It's kind of funny. We jumped on this call kind of, hey, what are we going to talk about? And then we just jumped in and talked for about 30 minutes. That just goes to show you not only that we're really into this, but we're also really enjoying it. I found myself at 11 o'clock last night, just in the middle of building something and just being excited, not wanting to put it down. Like got my music on and I'm playing on the computer. TV's not on. I mean, some might say it's not healthy, but it is a lot of fun.
Your old cypherpunk.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just fun to build, and some people are like that, some people aren't. But I love to build things, and once things are built, I move on typically. So what's cool about what we're building here is a company that builds things for other companies. So we're always going to be building, obviously getting ourselves better and growing our business, but growing other people's businesses as well. And I'm pretty much anti-corporate, and so we are trying to arm, all of our clients and customers with the tools that will allow them to compete at the same level, if not better and more agile than the Fortune 500 companies. And I just think that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, good talking to you guys, and we'll probably chat tomorrow. Another edition of Dave Learns AI in the books, and producer Paul will help us package this up and send it out to the masses and tell us what we did wrong and maybe hopefully make it even better next time around, I guess. But thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks, guys.
This is Dave Learns AI, a Taptico Solutions podcast. I'm Dave Clapper, diving into the real-world ways AI is changing business, creativity, and how we work. No fluff, no jargon, just practical insights and experiments you can learn from right alongside me. All day.